compliance advisory that we will record the meetings. And again, turn your cameras off if that bothers you. So again, thanks for being with us. Welcome, little James Taylor and Simon and Garfunkel this morning. If that, if somebody doesn't, like I said before, if someone doesn't like James Taylor or Simon and Garfunkel, call me. We'll have a discussion. Coming to you from the house today, have some construction going on, and Julie is out of town, so I'm stuck at the house today, kind of overseeing that. But again, thanks for being here, and we'll get into it. So quickly, agenda for today, we'll go through some updates from our office. Then we're going to talk about preparing for the mapping challenge process and what that should look like for you, at least at a high level. Again, we're not going to, dictate to folks and stringently say, you must do 1, 2, 3, but we're going to give you recommendations at a high level of what we think would be in the best interest of your committees and entities to be preparing for the challenge process ahead of time. And so we'll talk about that and then open the floor to any discussion that you may have today. So quickly, updates from our team. We welcome a new staff member to our team this week, Mr. Joseph Gibbons, formerly of the governor's office. He was a broadband liaison between the governor's office and our team. And so we welcome him onto our crew and look forward to having him. We take great pride in having a really good staff for the state of Arkansas. And so we welcome him to our group. Look forward to him being a part of our team, working with us. Let me expand briefly and see if he made it. I know he had some things going on. Yeah, Joseph, if you're on the call, you want to say hello this morning to the folks and introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, hi, Joseph Gibbons, lateral move from the governor's office to the broadband office. Going to be the new project manager over here. I'm really excited to be working with everyone here over at the Commerce Department. And I'll just shoot my number in the chat box. If anyone wants to reach out to me, has any questions, feel free to do so. But again, excited to be here, and thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah. Thanks, Joseph. Appreciate that. And quick update on our documents for everyone. So our initial proposal, volume 1, which details how we're going to operate our mapping challenge process, or volume 2, which details how we're going to run our the $1 billion grant program later this year. And then our DISCO plan, our digital skills and opportunity plan. We're still waiting for feedback from the federal government, from the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, NTIA. We feel like we're really, really close on volume 1. Last week, we've gone back, I think twice now, on what they call the curing process, or where we have to go and fix things. And so we've gone back a couple of times, I think twice now. Last week, the first half of last week, we sent in our last corrections that we think needed to be made to volume 1, again, talking about how we're going to operate the challenge process. As some of you are aware, we have what's called a community anchor institution list that will be a part of this process. Think hospitals, schools, police stations, so forth. In the process of scraping information and building our community anchor institution list, we included some cosmetology, private cosmetology schools by mistake. So we made that fix and made that tweak, got that back to the federal government first half of last week. We have not heard back yet from them. It could be any day. So we're really unsure as to when NTIA will get us an approved volume 1. Again, it could be any day. And as soon as we do have that information and we hear back from NTIA, we will let everyone know, because then we would very quickly move into beginning the challenge process. It could be any time. So we will let you know as soon as we know something on that. You'll see the third bullet, publishing public comments. This had come up once or twice, both in our infrastructure roundtable group, our ISPs, and also this group as well. We're going to offer to make public and publish on our website the public comments we had received on our volume 1 document, on our volume 2 document, and our digital skills and opportunity plan document. However, we're not going to do that without your permission. So we would not, well, first of all, we would not publish any names or emails, any identifying information from a public commenter that had commented on our documents, we would put out the comments themselves, but we're going to ask your permission first. So within the next week or so, look for a communication from our team if you commented on one of the 3 documents, asking for your permission to put out your comment publicly. Now, we were only going to do it if you respond in the affirmative. So if you reply back to our communication, giving us permission to put that particular comment out for public viewing, we will do that. But we will not do it if you reply back that you don't want us to, and we will not do it if you don't reply at all. So the only way that a public comment will be shown publicly will be if someone gives us a positive affirmative reply back saying, yes, you have my permission to do it. So again, be on the lookout in the next week or so from a communication from our team asking if you would like for that to happen for your comment. Next week, a lot of our team members will be in Philadelphia. There are 2 events taking place in Philadelphia next week. One is the SBLN, kind of analogous to ABLN. Now, the SBLN is the State Broadband Leaders Network. It's a nationwide cohort of state broadband offices that get together and talk and do things much like we do with you guys at the state level. So that event is called a Winter Summit. It's going to take place in Philadelphia next week. So some of our team will be there. Also in Philadelphia is the annual Net Inclusion event for 2024. They purposefully kind of put them together side by side in Philadelphia next week. So some of our team will be there. And so if you can't get someone, ping someone else and we will make sure that we get back with you. Elaine, quickly this morning, wanted to give Lane an opportunity to talk about the one-on-one demos that he's been doing with ISPs, with county broadband committees, and other entities. And so, Lane, if you want to touch on kind of how that's been going for you and what that looks like, what people can expect in that process, and if you want to walk through that.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Yeah, I've met with a lot of county broadband committees and individual mayors and citizens who are just involved in broadband in their communities to walk them through a one-on-one demo of our challenge portal. I've been doing the same with ISPs, and I will continue doing that as long as requests come in, and we'll do it right up until the 29th day of the challenge process. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. And as Glenn said, I'm going to be in Philadelphia next week. We might not get anything on the books for next week, but pick it up again the following week. I do want to make a correction for any folks who were at the infrastructure roundtable this morning. I was talking about the challenge portal, and I misspoke. I said it had a glitch. It's not a glitch. The software is behaving the way we expect it to behave. It's just referring to a data set that we got from NTIA that, to put it charitably, is maybe not the greatest design of a data set. So no, the challenge portal is ready to go. Just got a little back-end data to clean up, and it'll be operating as expected. So we'll be ready to go live with the challenge as soon as we get that approval from NTIA.
Great. Thanks, Lane. Really great update on the challenge portal. Let's see. So moving into preparing, and look, we're going to have a time, as always, for discussion and questions at the end. Look, preparing for the mapping challenge process. Okay, so at minimum, again, different county committees and different entities may want to take different approaches, and that's okay. We want people to have autonomy and flexibility in how you get ready and get prepared and what works best for you. We think at minimum, what you should be doing right now, at least our recommendations, okay? One, recruiting official challengers. All right, so to reiterate, only units of local government, and we'll talk about what that is in a second, ISPs and nonprofits technically are the only official challengers allowed in this process per the federal government, okay? So we think that, your entity, your county committee should be working to identify and recruit official challengers for your county on your behalf. Remember, they are going to be the ones that at the end can submit the button for folks. That way, everyone's ready to go. Now, units of local government, okay, include state legislators, so our state senators and state representatives, our county judges, our quorum court members, our mayors, our city council members, and our school board members. You're going to notice that they're all elected, right? All elected officials are counting as our units of local government, at least within this list that we have here, okay? You can have more than one. You can have 10. That's fine. I think the more official challengers that are available, for your area is the better. We want backup. We need backup. And so looking at those lists, think through that, and start working with our team to identify and recruit those folks for you, okay? Second bullet here, and we're going to bring up the portal in a second. And I know it's not publicly available yet, right? So part of the one-on-ones with Lane and our team is that we're going to be able to show you your county, your community, your neighborhood, right? Your single location, if that's important to you. We can drill down as low as a single location, right? Our opinion, you need to work on identifying what we call the gray dots for served locations. These are areas that are being marked as served, but it may not be correct, right? We're going to bring up the portal in a second and look at that. You don't really have to worry about red dots. You don't really have to worry about blue dots. Really, you don't have to worry about the green dots either. What you should be focusing on, we would recommend, are the gray dots. Okay, that's going to be your most singular focus area, we think. If an area, right, or a single location is listed as a served, or it is illustrated as a gray dot, right, on our map, but you know it's not, you need to start working on collecting evidence. Okay, so service bills, speed tests, we have something to show you shortly, specific to speed tests that we're excited to show you, and letters, for instance, from ISP saying that service is unavailable at that particular location. They're all useful forms of documentation for different types of challenges. Okay, so that's the second dot. Thirdly, as Lane hit on a second ago, if you haven't, you need to immediately schedule a one-on-one demo with our team. If you need to have a second demo, schedule a second demo. If there needs to be a third demo, schedule a third one. We will get it done. We have Lane's worked very hard. Has talked with a lot of people. But if the list becomes long, I'm here, Caleb's here, team members are here. We'll work you through it. Okay, so just let us know. Get scheduled for a demo. And lastly, you need to strategize now about how you want to go and reach those gray dot people. All right, the households, the businesses, those locations that are marked as gray on our current map. We think that you should be thinking about how you want to reach those folks right now, right? If you start thinking about how you want to reach folks when the process goes live, you're going to be behind schedule because you're only going to have 30 days to get your challenges in, right? So you need to think about right now how you want to approach and strategize and go out and reach people, okay? Now, what that can look like can be different. Again, from different county to county, there's going to be different strategies. There's been talk of some counties may pay people and go out and sort of resemble census folks, right? Go knock on doors. Other counties have talked about leaning into community service organizations like Rotary and Lions Club and Kiwanis. Other counties have talked about leaning into their high school kids and working with some of them to go out and knock on some doors and do some public service hours, right? So strategizing on how you want to try to reach people to get them involved in this process. We would think you need to start working on that and thinking through that right now, okay? All right, so two things. We're going to show the mapping challenge portal. I'm going to pick a county. I think it's Carroll County that I already have ready to go so we can talk through the dots, what they mean, what it looks like, and what you should be focusing on. And then we're going to show you the new speed test, which is available for folks now on our website. It's kind of a soft opening. It's kind of a beta opening for everyone. Technically, it's available and out there, but we haven't said that yet. We waited to do it with the folks on this call. It's sort of a perk of being part of our Arkansas Broadband Leaders Network, the ABLN group that we meet with every 2 weeks. We thought it would be nice to introduce it with you before we introduce it to everybody else and kind of give you a sneak peek and let you play with it a little bit first. Okay, so we're going to go in to portal first. So let me go back and share. You should be seeing the portal now. If you can't, let me know, but I think it's working. So we got Carroll County, right, up on the map. They're one of our Gold Star County committees, so I wanted to reward them today. Look, when you look at any one county across the state, you're going to see, Elaine's talked this with everybody, right? You're going to see red dots, you're going to see blue dots, you're going to see green dots, you're going to see gray dots. All representative of a location, a single location, a home or business, or community anchor institution, okay? Your red dots and blue dots are locations that are currently marked as unserved or underserved, okay? Which is good news, all right? So before we get in this challenge process, right, those would be locations that we would go and get in this next infrastructure grant round, okay? They're already marked that way, okay? So you don't have to worry about those, all right? Take those off the map. Now we've got green and gray left, right? Okay. Our green dots are locations that have already received a grant award, either through our office or through a different federal grant program, okay? Now, some of those locations may still not have anything, and that's just part of the process because they haven't been built to yet. There's different, we've talked about this before, right? There's different programs with different timelines and different requirements. And so a lot of these green locations may be built to already as part of that grant, may not be built to as part of that grant. Either way, we can't go get them in BEAD, right? Because they've already been funded. So in reality, you don't, unless an award winner is willing to tell the state and tell your committee that they're not going to build somewhere, there's nothing really to challenge there either. Okay, so we got to take those off the map for you. That's going to leave your gray dot locations. As a county committee or other entity, we think this is most likely where you would want to spend probably most of your time because these are locations that a provider has said has access to at least 100 by 20 or higher, okay, and would be off of the map and not eligible for the BEAD program in the summer. So this is probably where you want to spend most of your time. When you zoom in, right, I think there's 4 different kind of, communities here. So what we would tell the Carroll County folks is, look, Carroll County, you probably, again, a recommendation from us, if I was on that committee, I would spend most of my time looking at these gray dot locations. Because again, these are locations that a provider has said is served with 120 or higher and would not be part of the infrastructure grant round because they have 120 or higher. But that may not be accurate. And remember, we've always talked about that you're going to know better than we would what locations, what communities, what neighborhoods are not going to be reflected properly, okay? That's why we're doing this whole thing. So although the map is not publicly available just yet, right, we can do a one-on-one with you. We can zoom in and you can screenshot, right? You can take a look. You can have us move it around, get an idea of what locations you should be thinking about before the process starts, okay? And then you want to think about, again, if I was advising the Carroll County Committee folks, okay, if you know, for instance, that this may or may not be accurate because I don't know. Hypothetically speaking, if those folks know that what's reflected in Eureka Springs is not accurate, right? Well, then you need to be thinking about now how you want to try to reach those folks. It's a little nuanced, right? You don't have to go reach everyone. You have to sample certain areas, and we can help you through that. But we think it's important that you strategize now ahead of time about how you want to try to outreach to folks and get them a part of this process, okay? All right, secondly, go to our website, which again, we're still in the process of designing a new website. We hope that that happens and goes public in the next couple of months. But in the meantime, we're still on the old website for now. If you notice here, test your broadband speed, okay? You click this button, and it's going to bring you to our new speed test system, okay? You can get there that way. You can also get there by going to speedtest.arkansas. Yes, so both ways will work, okay? Before you begin, we would like for you to enter your address, right? So we can track all this data on the backside and have that available for folks. You also have the option, a lot of folks have said, well, how do we know, how do you do a speed test if I have no internet at all at home? That's okay. You would click that you do not have internet access at the particular location. Now, you need to go obviously to somewhere that does have internet access, whether a library or a friend's house or mom's house. If that's the case, you would check that you do not have internet and then enter the location, okay? But irregardless, we want us to enter location, so I'm gonna do my address today at home. And I do have internet, so I'm not gonna check this box. You're obviously, you're agreeing that this information is to the best of your knowledge. Now, I'm on Wi-Fi here at the house. I am in the room next to the room with my Wi-Fi router, so I'm not going to check that box. That's funny. I actually am, so I'm going to turn this off real quick. So I turned off my VPN. I'm pretty sure this is an example of I think, I think we're on 300, but
Glenn, 99 times out of 100, nobody is going to know their advertised internet plan speed. They're not going to have it. So what do you put?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, so it's what you think, right? Part of this is that it is going to ask, specifically part of the challenge process, it is going to ask for a copy of their bill. Okay, so, and I know it's upsetting, Bob, but part of the reason is if someone subscribed to a 50 by 10 and the speed test comes back at a 40 by 5, well, that would make sense, and it's not their fault, right? So we have to be able to show that, okay? And obviously, as part of this process, the information goes to our team and so forth. So we check that box. And it reminds you, we're going to ask for information about your tier of service. So as part of the challenge process, you would want to, if you're doing a speed test, you would want to have upload a copy of your bill, okay? Now, this is going to run 4 different speed tests, okay, with 4 different speed testing systems. And all 4 are eligible and approved speed test systems for NTIA for the challenge process. I am on fiber. You can see you have an optional proof of current subscription. So if people are just doing random speed tests to help, inform, great. They don't have to do that. As part of challenges that'll be eligible for the mapping challenge process, you're gonna have, if you're doing a speed test, you're gonna have to upload a copy of the current bill. Okay. Statement, invoice, etc. 2, probably any one, maybe 3, any one time. All right, so my results, which you can download, okay, it's letting me know that I am served. All right, obviously lists my address. It collects all this information. It collects the address, because remember we typed in the address at the beginning, right? IP, time, and it's going to go through. Let's see. This is probably my averages, I think here. MLab, right? So you have downloads, you have uploads, you have latency across all 4 tests, okay? Collect this data. You have the ability to download yourself as well. Now, what's good about this system is that as part of the challenge process, right, that the federal government has sort of instituted for us, in order to have a valid speed test challenge, you have to have 3 different speed tests on 3 different days at 3 different times, okay? What we like about this system is that you enter in your email address, okay? And the system will email you and remind you to go back and do another speed test. And then it'll remind you to go back and do another speed test, right? So we collect the data that we need to help for this challenge process, okay? And this is specific to the speed test stuff. But soft opening, available on the website, and we wanted to give you a first peek at it. It's there. You can go type in speed test at arkansas.gov right now. You can click it on the website. It's available to you. And next week, we will start to let folks know from a public standpoint that it's available. Back to... All right, so with that, we'll open up the floor to discussion. Let me make this a little larger so we can see chat and raising of hands. Let's see. All right, we got some good stuff. Let's see. Okay. So Julie welcomed Joseph to the team. And Lane dropped his email address in the chat box for everyone to schedule demos. Let's see. Okay, so Denise is asking, what will happen to locations that are unserved at the close of the challenge process, okay? But subsequently the locations become part of a USDA Reconnect 5 grant award? That is a interesting question. We are trying hard to work with our federal partners to try to mitigate against that as much as we can. We will make a note of that, Denise, and try to get some clarification. Elaine, do you have?
I cannot find a time frame for when we could expect the 5th round of Reconnect grants to be awarded. Denise, if you have any information there, we'd love to hear it. But I've been Googling since you asked that question. Cannot find any kind of indication from USDA on when those announcements might be made.
Lane, I am totally guessing, but I think that we will have the announcements in the next couple of weeks. And I only say that because USDA is sponsoring a training class, a 3-day training class, the end of this month. And one of the first topics on the agenda is to go through the NOFO. So obviously it has to be out by then. So I would think maybe in the next 2 weeks we might see that. And then usually it's a 60-day turnaround for applications. And then who knows how long to get the awards out. August, September, October timeframe, most likely. But we've, Arkansas companies have been successful getting those grants. So I just didn't know what would that look like. And unfortunately, they're running parallel and overlap, so it makes it difficult. But I didn't know how it was going to work.
Well, go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, look, we're going to do our best. I think at the end of the day, look, there may be locations that get double funded in different programs. We are going to do our very best at the state level, on the state side, to mitigate against that. Our challenge process, hypothetically, best case scenario, if we got word back on Monday, okay, from NTIA that we had a green light, we couldn't start at least for another week after that. Now, personally, with our team, we would like to give you a little additional lead time than that, okay? Technically, we have to do at least a week. I'd like to go a little more than that if we can. So it's going to be our goal to give you more time than just a week. But let's say absolute worst case scenario, we couldn't start for another week. The challenge process is 30 days, right? So you're approaching 40 days from now until the first phase at best would close. And so I can see a scenario playing out where we start the challenge process in the next, 2 to 3 weeks ish, with a month after that, 30 days of challenge process where, on day 29, on day 30, we receive, enforceable commitment challenges because of this USDA grant. Now, that's a scenario where we would need to have a challenge come in to take them off the map, and I'm sure that those USDA award winners would be ready for that and submit challenges. So we'll just have to kind of play that by ear and see how it goes. But I think, from what I understand, little birdies out there, that there may be potential for some USDA awards in Arkansas. So we'll see what that looks like. But Denise, short answer, we're going to try to do the best we can, okay, to help folks take that off the board if that is the case. You're welcome, Sandy. Let's see, Monica. Please confirm that the census block groups will be a part of the channel. Yes. So the CBGs, Lane, are they on there already?
Yes, Glenn, they're on there. You can toggle them on and off, but the default is they are on. They're denoted by light gray, almost white lines. Okay.
Yeah. So CBGs will be part of that. And Lane looks like he already. I need to read a little ahead because he answered for her. Yeah. So Monica was asking if CBGs will be part of the process. That is accurate. They're on there. Not great. And the whole point of that is, right, and we talked about this with some folks, for an effective, like, so you're doing a speed test challenge, right, in a certain community or area, you don't need to do the whole thing. You only need to get 6. For instance, 6 of the same type of challenge within any one CBG, and then that turns the tables and forces a rebuttal by the ISP for the entire census block group. Okay, so it's easier for everyday folks. That's why that's an important part of the process that she was asking about. Let's see. So Monica, does this speed test need to be done for PC, a cellular device? Where is the speed result reported? Is the speed reflected in Ookla data? So Monica, look, you need to be hooked up to the home internet, right? Now, whether that's through a PC, or your cellular device, it's up to you. Again, we can't police that really. So it's kind of up to the folks. But again, you want to make sure that people are hooking up and connecting and testing their home internet, right? It does us no good if they're testing their Verizon wireless signal. the cellular plan, right? So we got to make sure that folks are testing their home internet if they have it. See, where's the speed result reported? It's collected in a database that we will have access to, and a speed test reflected in Ookla. I believe one of the 4 is Ookla, correct, Lane? And so that data would be in the Ookla data.
That's correct. Ookla is one of the. It's the one labeled speed test.
Okay.
We use MLab and a couple of others.
Okay. Let's see, Brandon. People are going to be skeptical about giving their address and name. Can they provide City Hall and a generic name when running the speed test? Now, I don't recall if a name is required as part of the challenge speed test data. I don't think so. That would not make sense to me. But we can double check that. We'll get back to you on that, unless we find the answer during the call. Lane?
Second, now we do ask for your name, and we do ask you for permission to share it, but it will not be used for any other purposes than the speed test. We will not share your name or your address, or we will not share your name with service providers, but we do need to collect it.
Okay, I just did the speed test, guys, and it shows that I'm underserved across the board. But it does list my name and address on that information. So are you collecting that data when I do that speed test?
Yes.
So this goes back to the question. A lot of people aren't going to want their name and address, revealed to the government.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you can't do the speed test without the name and address.
We'll confirm whether or not a name has to go to the feds. We'll double check on that. On the address piece of this, frankly, and look, sometimes I'm gonna push back on that. Okay, it is. I don't know how. Okay, people look. I understand that the concern on name. On address, I'm going to push back because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If people are nervous about giving an address for a speed test, well, do you want to get it fixed or not? Okay, it's just part of the process. I think people look. We've been waiting too long for this. People will need to be served with internet yesterday. If there's concern about an address, to me, I'm not sure that's valid, and I'll talk with anyone who does have that concern. But on the name thing, we'll double check.
Well, see what Julie just responded, that everything's redacted. So that answers that, I guess.
Yeah, that's correct. It is actually and here I am. It is one of the requirements that the data be redacted, that there's no personal identifying. So when you're seeing it as the person running the test, that's you seeing it, okay? When Arkansas sees it, it is in their system, but it does not go outside of that system. So for example, if even if we're up, you have to, it's kind of like what Glenn was saying, if you're going to complain about your internet, you basically, the internet company already has your address, they've got your name, they've got a bill, and they bill you. So that information is already out there, but there's no list that's being compiled with your information that goes to the government and says, these individuals don't have high-speed internet. It will be your location, but I mean, I know it's a little bit iffy, but I can guarantee you though that language is in there, that they have to protect the data and not use the data. And by they, I mean ASBO. They can't use that data for anything other than to aggregate it and say these locations are underserved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, I mean, we used to print addresses in phone books. Okay, they were publicly available for everyone. So again, I would push back on that slightly on the address piece. Okay, let's see. Danny, let's see. If someone runs a speed test over the next few days, the data being preserved, people by the challenge process. Yes. So Elena and I talked about this before the call, actually. Speed test data that we collect that is within 60 days of our challenge process is eligible for the challenge portal. So in our challenges, so yes, if you started today, we will collect that information that can be part of the challenge process. Yes. And then Joseph dropped his email address in the chat box for anybody who would like to give him a line. And then just so Brandon, again, saying try to student test, ask for the name. I'm curious, Julie, if it lets you go beyond that screen if you don't give your name.
I don't know that. I'm going to be honest. We can certainly ask.
Testing that now. I'll let you know.
Lay's going to check it. And
Mm.
I'm going to drop in the chat here a statement that is in the AR Connect volume 2, I believe. No, volume 1, pardon me. In the initial proposal, that's the statement. That's
Mhm.
it.
And then that's her name. And look, is there a name police? No. You know, is someone gonna, you know, if you put your name as, you know, Roger Rabbit, is somebody coming after you?
That's a good point. You know,
Highly
like sometimes what I do is I choose my initials, right? If I get tired of filling out forms and, you know, we all have that little bit of like, geez, really? I don't want to give you my info again, right? I might just put JD or J.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
look, if somehow, go ahead, Lane.
The name, you can continue with the steps of the speed test without putting your name in.
Okay. Yeah. So good to know. And look, if Arkansas has 35 challenges and 35,000 Roger Rabbits, then that's, you know, that's fine. Nobody's gonna, you know,
You could just put user,
yeah. So
something like that, speaker or user, you know, whatever. And here's another little bit from volume 1.
thanks, Julie. Let's see. Van, will there be, go ahead, Bob.
That brings up a question about the standardized comment here. Would it be valuable for you guys to provide a standardized or sample notice to our households, to the public, so that we don't have 75 different announcements going to all of the internet users in the state?
Mm-hmm. You're talking about like you're kind of hinting when we like launch the process. You're saying? Yeah. So we're working on a press release internally that we would push out at the state level, and also push out to our committees. And you guys can work with if your local paper doesn't pick it up, right? Maybe you can help us and
that we can maybe turn around and insert the point of contact information in it. That would be great. That will have what you know, that will have what we just discussed in it.
Sure. And I think we're also working with, and I've said this to a couple of folks, we're also working with marketing within commerce. And actually some of our vendors as well. We're going to take the best of both, I think. Working on creating some communication, social media graphics and flyers, et cetera, that you can help push out that could announce the process and walk you through it, kind of a step 1, 2, 3, make it easy for folks. So Van's saying,
that's cool.
Yeah, well, there'll be a standardized statement informing people of this data collection, similar to a privacy policy. Yeah, I mean, it was within the screens that we were on a second ago. It kind of detailed everything. But we can, you know, if folks think we need to beef that up a little bit, we can do that.
Second question, which when you showed the map of dots in Carroll County, right now, our only way to get information about those, I don't know how many were in Carroll County, 300 gray dots in Carroll County. We have to physically go to the map, hover over that, get an address and blah, blah, blah. In order to reach out to these people, that seems like a tremendously burdensome process. is there a way that we could get a spreadsheet list of gray dots so that we can manipulate that for connection information rather than hand manipulating every gray dot in Arkansas?
Lane?
Yes, we can do that.
I think that would, in my mind, that would be very helpful. We could take that spreadsheet and we could construct, emails or letters or whatever to those individuals rather than us. And are the ISPs going to be doing the same thing to all the gray dots?
So, yeah, I think, so we can get you a listing of the served locations, and we can do that probably, Lane, for every county, make that available for folks. Once we have the go, once it's done, right? So when we're able, I don't know if we can get that to you now, Bob, right? But when we hit the green light and we do the, go ahead.
Full date of the 30 days, though.
Yeah, so we'll work to provide a listing of served locations to our county folks. The question on ISPs, look, this is the base layer of information is based on provider reporting, right? So what they would be attacking their own reporting, right? Now, if one ISP feels as though another ISP has not reported their information accurately, okay, and provider A feels like provider B was over-reporting, for instance, yes, you can have an ISP that could be challenging these gray dots as well. To go from served to underserved if they felt like the data was incorrect. Yes.
I guess my question really, and I apologize, is there going to be a duplicated effort of requesting a test and information from every gray dot, or will they receive a single request?
I see what you're saying. So you're asking if, like, the same household will get requests from multiple entities? Yeah.
Are they going to get one request?
It's possible. We're not going to. We can't keep track and shut down a location because they, had a request come in or submitted something. So yeah, it's possible that some folks could get asked by different entities to be a part of the process. Now, remembering that you only need 6 and 1 CBG, right? You don't have to go get everybody. Let's see. So Brandon,
you say you need 6 tests in one area. Are you going to define exactly what that area is? Otherwise, you're going to have 75 people looking at a map.
Lane, before I go back to the chat real quick and touch other people, you want to touch on the boundaries again for the areas?
Yeah, sure. So when we say 6 tests per area, that is a census block group, is how we define that area. So if you've got 6 tests for the same provider and the same technology, then that entire census block group becomes challenged for that provider and that technology.
Okay. Now, it's 6 locations, right? So those 6 locations would have to do the 3 tests on 3 different days, 3 different times. But our speed test system, remember, is designed in a way that they input their email address and it sends them a reminder to go do the second test and go do the third test. So it makes it as user-friendly as possible in this very nuanced and complicated process.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Bob. So let's say back to the chat real quick. Brandon, explanation helps, and I realize anyone can look up property records, etc. Just identify people. I just want to make sure we have a good response to that problem. Yeah, totally understand. Totally understand. And of course, Julie letting everybody know that we're not gonna, put out PII, which of course is true. Yeah, so Cam's letting folks know that he has a link a live stream link in the YouTube or in our chat for some YouTube live streams that'll take place as part of the net inclusion next week. So those are available for folks. So good job, Cam, dropping that in. Yeah, so Julie's reiterating that, IP address, subscriber name, street address, considered PII, personal identifiable information, and are not disclosed to the public. So Rick's asking, he's got to jump to another meeting. He's saying the portals look nice. Appreciate that, Rick. Yeah, of course, doing what we can for Arkansas. We think we have talking to our peers in other states and what's going on. We have top of the line stuff, top of the line software for our people here in Arkansas. The whole concept of gating suggested corrections by everyday folks it was really an innovative thing that Arkansas is helping to lead. We think we're going to be the first state in the country to offer that process for our folks. And look, that's going to be a story that's going to be great for Arkansas moving forward, and put a feather in the cap to our county committees and you guys on the ground that have worked so hard with us on this process. So we've gone through the chat and I don't see any other hands at the moment. We'll sit for a minute or two and just see if anyone has anything else for today's call. So we'll sit tight for just a second. All right, folks. Well, look, we hope this was helpful today. Now you know that the speed test module is now available sort of in a soft open. A couple of things we need to tweak, on there still, which is okay. It does not impact data collection or working. It's really good. And so a couple of links and things and maybe some verbiage that we want to tweak a little bit, but that's okay. Again, thanks for coming on. As always, email, text, call, let us know how we can be helpful. Let's continue to schedule those one-on-ones with Lane. I'm going to owe him a couple of steak dinners after this thing's over. We get through this for all of his hard work, but we look forward to seeing y'all in 2 weeks. Thanks, team.